Hello and welcome back. Well, the White House has reacted positively. Russia claims discussions are quite promising, and France says it's treating talks with caution. There is no limit to the amount of discussion that's coming from Geneva as world leaders meet with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani to discuss Iran's nuclear program. After 2 days, there is yet to be a substantial breakthrough, but most participants have welcomed the positive vibe, atmosphere, call it what you will. So how are Iranians reacting to the talks? Well, to find out, let's go over to Lucas de Jong, who is in the World's newsroom for us now. Lucas, that's a very smart studio you're in.
Not bad at all, is it? We've come here to the Persian newsroom studio to do a little bit of a chat about exactly what Iranians are thinking about these nuclear talks. Now, I'm joined by two guests, Samantha Barry, who's our World News social media producer, and Amir Paivar, who is the BBC Persian correspondent. Both of them have joined me now. We'll start with you, Amir. Talk us through, BBC Newswire said here that one Iranian newspaper said it's a bridge for interaction and opening of new horizons. Is this sort of what we're seeing across a lot of the newspapers?
That's exactly the positive tone we have in newspapers today. I have printed off some front pages of this morning's papers in Tehran. Big bold headline, promising negotiations, optimism in negotiations. It was all smiles, deadlock ends. And of course we have the conservative newspapers who have a slightly different take. So one says, America should show its goodwill in action, not words. And the other says, it was not the sanctions which made us change our policy. So we see the conservative is still kind of like trying to establish that we are standing firm, whereas the reformist papers and the moderate ones are all happy and optimistic.
Fantastic. And turning to social media, Samantha, talk us through, because Facebook and Twitter are actually banned in Iran, yet a lot of the ministers have their own pages.
A lot of the ministers have their own pages, and also a lot of Iranians are on those social networks using virtual private networks. And there's been a lot of chatter in the last few days, and positive isn't the word I'd say for the local Iranians tweeting, and on Facebook, cautious optimism. There's a couple of people tweeting about they're hoping that the sanctions will be lifted, including one tweeter who identified himself as an indie musician from Tehran, hoping that these sanctions can be lifted. But a lot of everyday average Iranians are becoming more and more confident on social media, and that is because they see their politicians using these banned websites, Facebook and Twitter, including the Minister for Foreign Affairs, who was actually doing a lot of tweeting and Facebooking from Geneva this week.
Excellent, because that's what we want to know. Amir, talk us through, what are people on the street in Iran, what are they wanting to come from these talks?
Well, for the average ordinary Iranian, the first and foremost biggest concern is the economy. And the economy is under heavy pressure because of sanctions. And as we saw in the social media, I think the first outcome they want to see out of these negotiations is some degree of easing of sanctions so that the economy starts moving and their everyday life gets better. But that's general across the board for most of the Iranians. But as we saw from the headlines of the conservative papers, the conservatives, the hardliners, they want to make sure that Iran, out of these negotiations, will guarantee keeping the uranium enrichment in-house, inside Iran. Well, there could be negotiations about the degree of enrichment, 20%, 5%, but they want for Iran to sustain its right to uranium enrichment and the nuclear technology. So for them, it will be very important to see that these negotiations will end at a point where Iran can continue the program, but will probably give more access to inspectors and a different degree of enrichment for the uranium.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to the both of you for joining us. We've got more talks coming on the 7th and 8th of November, which will be going on between world leaders. For now, we'll just have to see what comes out of those, I guess, John. Back to you.
OK, Lucas, thanks very much. Also, would you ask Amir if he's prepared to do a studio swap? I've got studio envy with that lovely view out of his...
You can't beat it, can you? It's fantastic.
Can't beat it. I know. It's not fair. Here I am on level -3 in New Broadcasting House. Let us move on.